Hello, good morning and welcome to the Circuit Paul Ricard Le Castellet. We're in the south of France for the final race weekend of the 2023 Fanatec GT2 European Series, with the biggest entry of the season so far and fabulous weather awaiting our drivers after late afternoon qualifying yesterday. We have an even tighter championship battle on our hands in both the Pro-Am and the Am categories. In fact, the Am category points lead changed after qualifying because the white and black KTM, you can just see right in the center of the picture, car number 89 of Jan Krabek. He claimed 2 Am class poles yesterday in the 2 qualifying sessions. A point for each has moved him from 1 point behind to, yes, you've worked it out as well, 1 point in front. 24 degrees already, track temperature over 30. It is a cloudless, sunny October Saturday morning. And on the front of the grid, at the very sharpest end of the field, is the latest of the GT2 entries. This is the fabulous Maserati GT2. The MC20 GT2 race version of the 3-litre V6 twin-turbo Maserati supercar. So, joining the field, where we already have representatives from KTM, from Audi, from Porsche, from Lamborghini and from Mercedes-AMG, is the brand new Mazda. And courtesy of some great qualifying yesterday, it will make its debut on pole position. How it fares in race trim, well, nobody really knows just yet. There's Ludo Badet alongside Jean-Luc Bobulic. He is starting their car, which they will be in 3rd on the grid for this first of the 2 races. Jean-Luc Bobulic, hugely experienced and enthusiastic racer, and Ludo Badet has had plenty of sports car GT endurance experience as well, having come originally from a junior single-seat background. Well, we have 15 cars on our grid. There were due to be 16, but an incident in free practice has robbed us of one of the True Racing team KTM crossbows. So there was a crash for the car that was the number 15 car, which carries Stefan Rosina, one of our front runners in the championship in the Pro-Am category. Stefan Rosina 3rd in the point standings with Nicolas Salins. Salins crashed the car and it was not able to be repaired for the weekend. So Salins, although he is okay, will not be racing today. His place has been taken at short notice by Gilles Vannelet, another very experienced competitor in sports and GT racing in all kinds of categories. And they have taken over the number 17 KTM crossbow that's been run by the team over the last few weekends, race weekends. And so the regular drivers for that car will not be racing either, but will be supporting their teammates. So as you can see, it is pretty much shirt sleeve weather for everybody. The 1-minute board being given on the grid. There will be a single formation lap as the drivers will warm their tyres and brakes and clear the grid and fire up the engines as we get ready for the first of our 2 races. 50 minutes the encounter, mandatory pit stop. You don't have to share your car with a driver. You can do it all on your own, like Jan Krabek, the Am points leader, or, as is most often the case, you can share with a fellow driver, and depending on their particular FIA graded license rating, then you will either be an all-Am crew or a Pro-Am crew. So 2 different championships up for grabs here this weekend. 2 different titles. The safety car will lead them around this fabulous circuit. And we are using the short version of the turn 8-9 chicane on the Mistral Straight. So unlike the Bol d'Or 24-hour motorcycle race that was held here a couple of weeks ago, where the bikes just hoon on down the straight at 1.6 kilometers long up to Senior. They're using the same chicane that will be familiar to fans from the Formula 1 Grand Prix and various other race categories. Not everybody uses it, but in this instance it will be the case. Now, have we got a car stranded on the grid? Final car on the grid is the number 18 LP Racing Audi R8 of Michael Doppelmayr and Pierre Caffer. Doppelmayr due to be the starting driver. Looked as though he may not have got away, but the tracker not telling us. Let's take a look at the grid then. So on pole position, Luca Guarini in the brand new Maserati MC20 GT2. Henri Acide alongside for LP Racing in the black and gold Audi. Row 2 of the grid, Jean-Luc Bobelic starts the Acadis Mercedes. That is the grey and white car. And alongside him, Martin Koch in the blue and black and lime KTM Crossbow. Row 3 of the grid, Gilles Vannelet starts. We'll hand over to Stefan Rosina, one of our Pro-Am Championship contenders, and Jan Krabek is the AM pole sitter, double AM pole sitter. He drives on his own. He still has to remain stationary for the same time in the pits, so he'll be sitting there steaming in the heat. He starts in 6th position ahead of winners and pole sitters for the first time, last time out in Valencia, the Lithuanians Janavičius and Rustica in their Porsche. On the field, sweeping their way round this fabulous circuit. As you can see in the middle of Sector 2, halfway down the Mistral Straight is that turn 8-9 chicane that we'll be using. And lots of overtaking opportunities. You see Klaus Angerhofer there, he starts the number 16 car. He lies second now in the AM points, was first coming here, but Jan Krabek taking 2 points for 2 pole positions, 1 in each of the 2 brief qualifying sessions. 20 minutes for each driver. Session 1 sets the grid for race 1, and session 2 sets the grid for race 2. So Krabek will be the AM pole sitter for both races, and they're not all the Pro-Ams and then all the AMs. They are placed on the grid as their speed in qualifying dictates. It's not necessarily the same car either. The Maserati on pole here in qualifying session 1 with a slightly slower time than was set in qualifying session 2, but that was only good enough for 5th place on the race 2 grid. So it's not necessarily about your absolute speed in qualifying, it's about your speed versus the drivers around you in qualifying, and that will be the same in the race as well. The different drivers in the cars may well have different speed and different overtaking abilities, experience, and so forth. So the Maserati in blue and the black and gold Audi alongside it on the front row of the grid. Just to remind you, you may not pass before you cross the start-finish line. So it's not about when the safety car pulls in. It's not about when you come out of the final corner. It's not about when the lights change. It's about not being past a rival when you cross the white line. So Henri Acide, who starts the 67 Audi with the black and gold livery, is going to have to be very careful not to jump this start. Anthony Beltoise, Henri Acide, the points leaders in the Pro-Am category. No points will be scored by the Maserati, by the way. Newcomers in the final round don't score points. The lights go green. We are underway here in Paul Ricard, the penultimate race of the season for the Fanatec GT2 European Series, and straight away into the first corner, the outside front row starter Henri Acide in the Audi jumping into the lead. The Maserati GT2 taking it cautiously into the first corner, Leonardo Guarini. Now it looks as though Guarini has in fact made a bit of a jump away from Henri Acide, so it's the other way around. Guarini taking the lead in the Maserati, and Acide, the sunshine shining off the cars, making it a little hard to identify the colours in that going away shot. Up in 3rd place is Martin Koch, the black and lime green KTM. Somebody's lost a bit of something. That's very early doors. Less than a minute into the race and bits flying up in the air. Martin Koch up to 3rd from 4th on the grid. Behind him, the grey and white Mercedes, that's Jean-Luc Bobelic. He started in 3rd. You can see there, Jan Krabek, 89, the black KTM with the white side panels as they come out of the chicane for the first time. We have all our cars safely away from the grid. So Michael Doppelmayr made the start in the number 18 Audi. That was our Lanterne Rouge. Here's a move up the inside from the KTM. Gilles Vannelet on the inside goes by the Mercedes. So Vannelet making the move and making it stick. And now he's right behind Jan Krabek. Gilles Vannelet started, in fact, in front of Krabek on the grid. But the Czech driver managing to squeeze his nose in front. And then Vannelet taking that position away from the blue and white Acadis Mercedes. That's Mauro Ricci. He shares that car with his son Benjamin, who will take over later on. So Gilles Vannelet, first outing in the Fanatec GT2 Series. And another Mercedes further back. There is the Porsche of the Lithuanian. So the Lithuanians, that's Mantas Janavicius. Well, at the start, on the right-hand side of the picture, the Maserati making a very keen start indeed. And down the middle, Henri Acide defending, or trying to defend against the attack of Jean-Luc Bobulik in the Mercedes. Bobulik on the driver's left on the outside. And that was contact from the yellow and black Audi. You can see in the background there, little, I'm not sure if that's the back of the Porsche or the front of the Audi has lost something. So the yellow and black number 1 Audi, Peter Gerlings and Stinus Longin, they are second in the standings. And they come into the race 3 points behind Anthony Beltoise and Henri Acide. Acide getting 1 point in qualifying 1. And they currently lie in second place. Beg your pardon, in 8th place. Acide and Beltoise lying in second place, but their chasing duo, Peter Gerlings and Stinus Longin, they are down in 8th place, car number 1. So at the moment, the chasers in the points are doing the chasing in the race as well. Plenty of time for all of that to change. And there you can see the first of the AM cars, the black with the white side. That is Jan Krabek. And the Czech Republic driver doing a good job holding off Gilles Vannelet in a similar KTM crossbow. Krabek run by RTR Projects, and Vannelet in one of the 3 True Racing KTMs. As I said before the start, True Racing bringing 4 cars here for the first time, and straight down the escape road goes the blue and white Mercedes. So a little bit of mistake there by Mauro Ricci. Comes back on ahead of the 2 KTMs, so he's going to have to give that or those positions back. Otherwise, he will be hit with the penalty. Can't continue in that spot, having picked up 2 places by very, very blatantly not being on track. Out front, by the way, the Maserati really starting to pull away. So here he is under braking and just carrying a little too much speed in. So he decides to straight line the first chicane at La Verrière. And through he goes. He will have to give the places back. Has not done so yet. No, he's too experienced to think that nobody's going to have spotted that and that he will get away with it, Jean-Luc. So I imagine then he's... Yeah, you can see Jan Krabek flashing the headlights as they come out of the chicane. Krabek going, come on, get out of the way. Bobulik puts the indicators on, saying, why don't you go up the inside into Senior? Well, he knows as well as everybody else that you need all the road in Senior. And passing somebody up the inside is not a good idea. Martin Koch in the black and lime KTM. And just behind Mauro Ricci is still hanging on. And now it looks as though the 2 KTMs are trying to go by. Jean-Luc Bobulik attacking Martin Koch. Mauro Ricci has allowed the 2 KTMs to go through into Le Beausset. And there's a great drone view of the final element, the double droit de Beausset, the left-hand at Bond d'Or, and then sweeping down through Virage du Lac into the final corner, Virage du Pont. It's a much tighter right-hander than it looks, riding the curbs on the exit and out onto the straight again. So at the moment, our race leader pulling away in the Maserati, Leonardo Guarini. Henri Acide in second place, and then Martin Koch with the lime highlights on his KTM, under pressure from Jean-Luc Bobelic. There is the race leader. So far, a sparkling debut for the car. The series rules to prevent wild card loose cannons affecting the championship in the final stages is the rules are that newcomers, new additions to the championship or to the series in the final race weekend may not be eligible for points, or are not eligible for points. So there will be no points scored by the Maserati. What this is a great proving for it, though. That means that the car in second place, Henri Acide, sharing with Anthony Beltois as the points leaders. They are scoring maximum points at the moment, and Jan Krabek has been passed by Gilles Vanelay. So Vanelay with the orange KTM with the black roof. He's got by Krabek. Krabek still leads the AM class. In 8th place, second in AM, is Janavicius in the Porsche. And then that's car number 5. Third in the AM class is from the back of the, not quite the back of the grid, middle of the grid, is Klaus Angerhofer. So Klaus Angerhofer sharing with Sadie Samini. And because they haven't shared all season, Angerhofer and Samini, although they're both well up in the AM class points, are not joint AM class points. Angerhofer came here with a single point lead, now trails Jan Krabek by 1 point, but Sadie Samini was in 4th in the points. Now the man immediately ahead of him, Leonardo Guarini, is now leading the race in a Pro-Am lineup Maserati, which is not a point-scoring car, but he will not, as far as I can work out, score points in the AM class, and so that means that Sadie Samini is likely to move up at least to 3rd in the championship. But if Klaus Angerhofer ends up as champion, he will be a solo champion. Of course, Samini will do everything he can to help himself and his teammate win both these races, but at the moment they are 3rd in the AM class. And there's a change there as well, as the Mercedes of Jean-Luc Bobelic has gone by Martin Koch, so they're now 3rd and 4th, which is where they started. So in fact, the top 4 have finally rearranged themselves into their grid order. And let's see what the Mercedes can do, because Jean-Luc has already started to distance himself from the MZR KTM. Hard onto the brakes, into the chicane they come. And this is where it happened in Le Beausset. The KTM keeping a tight inside line, but the Mercedes even tighter. And the Mercedes starting to close in on the Audi in second place. Not even starting to close in, he is definitely closing in. Aha, 5-second penalty for track limits at turn 1 and 2 for Henri Acide. Okay, that's interesting. Did we see that? Well, did he have to repass Bobelic? They were side by side into the first chicane at the start, so that means that the Audi has been given a penalty, which effectively means that Jean-Luc Bobelic is quote in front of the Audi now for second place, even if he's not actually in front of the Audi for second place. There's the Maserati that leads. And here comes Henri Acide and Jean-Luc Bobelic. That's the battle for second place, and they are just half a second apart. And again, Jan Krabek is leading in the AM category. currently in 6th place. KTM behind him, or was behind him, now has eased away in front. And so in the AM category, second is Mantas Janavicius of Lithuania in the Ebi Motors Porsche. But that is 2 cars behind, and stuck behind the white and blue Mercedes. You can see there is the Mercedes, a considerably taller car than the Crossbow. In fact, everything else in the field is a taller car than the Crossbow. The KTM Crossbow, very low slung indeed. There's Janavicius, the black Ebi Motors Porsche with the broad red stripe. And right now, he is behind Mauro Ricci, struggling to find a way by that Mercedes. And worse than that, he has got attention from behind the yellow and black PK Car Sport Audi of Peter Gerlings. He is right behind him. So this is 7th, 8th and 9th. And the 10th place car of Klaus Angerhofer is lurking with intent. That's the orange and black KTM Crossbow, the first of the 2 of them. Angerhofer car number 16. The other orange and black car is the 51 car, Alexandre Leroy and Bertrand Rouchard, who are new this weekend, so they won't be scoring points either. And the third car that is new this weekend is NM Racing's Mercedes, the silver car of Stéphane Perrin and Jakob Noll. And that 888 car will also not score points, but everybody else will. And the battles are going to be quite entertaining. Jean-Luc Boblic now in the Mercedes up to 2nd place. Got ahead of Henri Hassid. Hassid with Martin Koch and Gilles Vanderlei, the 2 KTMs closing in behind. Jean-Luc Boblic and Ludo Bade joining the series last time out. 20 points behind Martin Koch, the driver in the black KTM with the lime green highlights. So they could definitely do with staying in front if possible. So far, nice clean race for everybody. But slight penalty for the Mercedes of Henri Hassid. A big pun for, not the Mercedes of Henri Hassid, the Audi of Henri Hassid, the black and gold car, is the only fly in the ointment. We'll have to remember that at the end of the race, because that's when the time penalty will be applied. And behind in 3rd place is this battle, the 4th place battle rather. This is the 2 KTM Crossbows. This is Martin Koch and Gilles Vanderlei. And Vanderlei now right in prime position to have a little lunge. Didn't do so in Virage du Pont. Enough a little wide over the curb, so I have to be careful of that. You don't want to be doing that too often. It's a very common place to make that mistake, and is very frequently spotted. A number of laps in free practice and qualifying that were deleted for running wide out there. Gilles Vanderlei will definitely know that he can't afford to be losing time because of that. Picking up penalties for track limits would not be a great deal. Now they're looking here at our Lamborghini Super Trofeo car. This is car number 30, Georges Cabin and Jean-Paul Ruffin. And behind is the Audi started by Stefan Rattel. Mattia Di Giusto will take over that car for the 2nd part of the race. Rattel having a little look down the inside. Knows this track well, knows the venue well. SRO have got a very big facility here. Run a lot of events out of their base here in Paul Ricard. And Stefan has a fairly impressive car collection here as well. And thoroughly enjoying returning to racing in this Fanatec GT2 series. And to a degree, he is his own best customer survey here, because Stefan, although with one hat on, is the boss of SRO, that runs the Fanatec GT series, that runs GT World Challenge, all sorts of national GT championships as well. But in this particular instance, when he's got the race suit on and the helmet on, he is a gentleman driver, and that is exactly the sort of customer that he is hoping to encourage more and more of to enter this GT2 European Series. So he is not just having fun as a driver, but also the experience that the non-pro drivers have of the series, of the tracks, of their rivals, of the admin, of the races and so on. All of that feeds into the feedback loop directly via the boss. So it's almost like the head of NASA being part of the astronaut training program. So battling here just outside the top 10. And this is what all of the racing is about. It is about drivers in equal machinery of pretty equal abilities. And largely, it's about enjoying your time off, having fun. Now, pro drivers here, part of their remit, a large part of their remit, as well as driving the car quickly, that's understood, is to help their non-pro teammates. Down the inside comes Martin Koch, makes the move through for third place. He goes by Henri Acide. It was a good move. Saw it shaping up in the slipstream down the Mistral. And then right behind is Gilles Vanley in the orange and black KTM. So Henri Acide coming in here as the points leader, because they were the second best qualifying car in qualifying one, behind the Maserati that doesn't score. It was Acide and Beltoise who got the bonus point for pole, because they were the best of the points scoring cars. And that moved them from 2 points ahead of Peter Gerlings and Stinus Longin to 3 points in front. But right now, Acide could do without the attentions of these KTMs. Martin Koch maybe just carrying a little too much speed, too deep there into the final corner, Virage du Pont. And being warned about track limits at turn 11, which is the Double Droit de Beausset. And he is easing away now, and because he's in clearer air, chasing the Mercedes in front, then it might be that as he heads off after Jean-Luc Bobelic, that he will have the opportunity to stay a little cleaner. However, right behind, Henri Acide again just pinching the apex there, down in turn 4 or 5. This is the replay last lap. Martin Koch on the inside, and put his car exactly where he needed to. And Henri Acide could sit there as long as he wanted to under braking, but there was still going to be that KTM on the inside, so he really had to concede the corner rather than lose more ground. And Acide now at the chicane in the background of the shot as we watch the leader come out. Pit window is open for 10 minutes. From 30 minutes to go to 20 minutes to go. And Stefan Rattel, one of the first to pit. See, smoking brakes. It's not as if these cars are being driven in a gentlemanly manner. They are being thrashed exactly as hard as their drivers can make. So another rapid pit stop here. Now there is a minimum pit stop time. Michael Doppelmayr coming in to hand over to Pierre Caffe. You saw Pierre running around. Here's Martin Koch is in, and ahead of him from second place as well comes the Mercedes. So that is Jean-Luc Bobelic coming in to hand over to Ludo Badet, and I think that must have been Gilles Vanley in the background as well. Now the deal is, if you have a pro driver or a quicker driver in the pairing waiting, give them as much time as you possibly can in the car. So Martin Koch handing over to Reinhard Koffler. Koffler 1 point behind in the AM standings coming in here. So this is, I mean, it's the end of the season. Of course, it's critical racing, but I beg your pardon, I'm thinking of Klaus Angerhofer, not Reinhard Koffler. Reinhard Koffler behind Stefan Rosina by 2 points in the battle for third and fourth in the standings. Jean-Luc Bobelic, little tyre pressure change, just taking a little bit of pressure out of the now hot tyres. A little bit over pressured to the start of the race because they were a little bit colder. Now with all that heat from the boost that the tyres get, the Pirelli tyres that everybody is using worked very hard here, and of course the heat that comes from the brakes as well, working at phenomenal temperatures, that raises the pressure in the tyres. So just taking a little bit out of it just to bring that balance back. It may be that the driver has complained on the radio it's a little bit understeery, a little bit oversteery, and so they're making those changes as well. Well, leader stays out, Leonardo Guarini in the Maserati MC20 GT2. Luca Piri will take over from him, and Jan Krebek stays out as well. He's driving solo, so whether stint 1 Jan Krebek is quicker than stint 2 Jan Krebek doesn't make much difference really. It's the same Jan Krebek, so he'll come in whenever he wants, and that might be a little later as well. So, race leader on our timing screen, still shown as Leonardo Guarini. We didn't see that Maserati in the pit lane, but pretty much everybody else has stopped. Peter Gerlings handing over to Stinus Longin in the #1 car that leads the points. I beg your pardon, Anthony Beltois and Henri Acide in making their change. Stinus Longin and Peter Gerlings, they too have come in. So pretty much everybody now has made their stops, apart from Jan Krebek. The Lithuanian Porsche duo, Mantas Janavicius and Aurelius Rustica, they have not stopped yet, nor have our True Racing newcomers Alexandre Leroy and Bertrand Rouchard. There were 2 of those orange and black True Racing KTMs in last time round, so they may well have decided that 2 is just enough, thank you very much, you don't want 3 in. Stefan Rosina taking over car number 15 from Gilles Vanley, and Rosina currently shown in 6th position, but there are a number of cars in front that have still to stop. Now the standard stationary pit time is standard pit time in to out is 128 seconds, but the #5 Ebi Motors Porsche has a longer stop by 10 seconds longer to 138 seconds. Number 16 True Racing car, they too had a little bit longer stop. Klaus Angerhofer and Sadie Salmini, 135 seconds, and 135 seconds too for the RTR Projects KTM. Leader is in, and as you can see, with the length of the stop, essentially you've got 90 seconds stationary plus the in and out time. then it's not the biggest rush. And that's a safety prerequisite, really, to ensure that there is time. There's no fueling, but there is time for the drivers to change safely. Jan Krabek is out and will get back in, and the driver helper there will assist with the belts. Krabek taking a drink. The canopy is closed on the KTM and opened again. And the Maserati also in the pit lane, and that leaves the AM-class Porsche of Mantas Janavicius and Aurelius Rustica as our race leaders from 51, Alexandre Loire and Bertrand Rouchard. However, in terms of those who have stopped, this is the scenario at the moment. And there is the Maserati waiting to go. You can see the crew member with the stopwatch there. They've looked at what the pit lane delta is from the pit in to the pit out line. That's how the speed will be measured, or the time in a pit stop will be measured by the timekeepers. And then they have added on what time the car needs to be stationary. Assuming that the driver does not speed at any stage, they should be spot on. And of course, the teams will want to make sure they don't spend even a tenth of a second too long in the pit lane. What they also don't want, though, is to leave the pit lane even a tenth of a second too early. So top 10 point scorers will be settled in another couple of minutes. The rest of the field will need to come in. This is Reinhard Koerfler you're looking at with the black and lime green KTM. Oh dear. 5-second time penalty added to Giovanni and Stefan Rosina's car for cutting turn 2 and gaining an advantage. In comes Mantas Janavicius. Aurelius Rustica walking round there. Again, for entirely driver safety reasons, because drivers have to get in and out, and that means that seatbelts need to be done up properly and tightly and safely. This is not a 2.7 second Formula 1 pit stop. Crew member checking the tyre pressures, just making any adjustments that the engineers may decide are needed. And the fuel bottle on the far side. So Janavicius and Loire, the last two, Alexandre Loire in as well, had to, because the pit window, as you can see, has only a minute left in it. That's to get into the pit lane. I don't think they'll pick up a penalty for not leaving while the pit window is closed. But that does mean that Luca Piri in the Maserati will, as he comes across the line, resume in the lead of the race. So far, it has been a sparkling debut for the Maserati GT2. Across the line he goes, and the timing should reflect him popping up to the top of the pile. So second place at the moment on the road is Stefan Rosina, but don't forget, plus a 5-second penalty. I'm going to have to write that down. So 5-second penalty for 67, which was earlier on, and plus 5 for 15. So those should be amended automatically by the timing system at the end of the race. But if we get down to a battle in the final stages, then that could all have its effect. There is the black and gold Audi, car number 1, Peter Gerlinks, and now Stinus Lojan in contact. Oh, and turns around the KTM, and that's possibly going to see their championship challenge in real trouble. Having a look down the inside of Sadie Sarmini, And Stinus Longin making contact. It was a late lunge, a deep lunge. Let's take a look again. Here comes the Audi down the inside. The KTM, well, and in fact, you saw that made contact with the sister car just in front, the tiniest of contact, but that hole was always going to close. And so Sadie Sarmini was trying to avoid contact with Bertrand Bouchard. You can just see him there. Bouchard had just come out of the pits, was not going to be going quickly. I'm afraid that is not the greatest move from Stinus Longin. We'll wait and see what happens with that. Luca Piri out front in the Maserati. Second place at the moment is Stefan Rosina, car number 15, but with that time penalty. And in third spot. Again now, positions are changing. Pit stop time for car number 30. That's Georges Cabin and Jean-Paul Buffin in the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo. That's under examination. Meanwhile, back with the battle, Reinhard Koffler under pressure. There is Stefan Rosina. And right behind is the 87 Mercedes of Ludo Bade. Ludovic Bade looking left, right and centre to try and get around the driver from Slovakia. Looks early to the inside. Has the Mercedes got the legs on the straight? He's got enough, has he? He puts himself inside Rosina and he makes the pass. He's up to third. Well, the Maserati is comfortably away in front at the moment. 6.9 seconds clear of second. And Rosina in the KTM coming out of the chicane, not able to match the pace of the Mercedes on the run up through Senior. The KTM will make up ground potentially in the tighter, twistier stuff compared to the Mercedes. But Ludo Bade in third, now ignoring what's in his mirrors and trying to hustle off after Reinhard Koffler, who is in second place in his black and lime green KTM. So there is Stefan Rosina, currently third in the points. Only 18 behind, 25 points on offer in this race, 25 in the final race. And this is Ludo Bade looking down the inside. Late on the brakes. And that's a nicely judged move. Got a good exit out of turn 7 onto the Mistral straight. This legendary long straight at Paul Ricard, and took advantage of it. Gap is coming down to Luca Piri, the race leader. Was 6.9, now down to 5.4 seconds. So Reinhard Koffler in second is closing in, and with him is coming Ludovic Bade, and with him is coming Stefan Rosina. Cars 1 and 6 under investigation. So Anthony Beltoise, Henri Acide, that black and gold Audi, and the number 16 KTM of Sadie Sarmini. You saw that incident. I have to say, I think it's hard to blame Sarmini. Usually when you get hit in the door, it's not because you've reversed into somebody. I think it might be a bit of a problem for the black and gold Audi of our points leaders. Down into Le Beausset, Stefan Rosina in the orange and black KTM in fourth place, just struggling to stay with the Audi of Ludovic Bade. There's Reinhard Koffler, and Bade is slowly closing the advantage. Stefan Rosina with the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, 2 minutes 5.58. So he's got good overall pace, but maybe not in the right places to get back at the Mercedes in front. Luca Piri across the line again after 16 laps. Gap now down to 4.2. So his last lap, 2 minutes 7.0, 2 minute 5.6, so 1.4 seconds quicker. Reinhard Koerfler in second, 2 minute 5.6 from Ludovic Bardet in third. He's not catching Koerfler. And Stefan Rosina, 2 minutes 5.5 last time round. So they are all catching the Maserati in front. Big lock up there from the unladen right front of Ludo Bardet as he turned into corner 3, Hotel. And more investigation for the stewards. Reinhard Koerfler, Stefan Rosina contact will be examined as well for turn 15. Well, there is Reinhard Koerfler in second place. Ludovic Bardet in third. There's the Mercedes. Ludo and Jean-Luc Bobelic. Maiden win in Valencia for that number 87 Mercedes last time out. So their Codis ASP team now looking for another podium, and under 13 minutes, so maybe 5 more laps. There's our AM class leader, still Jan Krabek. Still in second place is the Porsche now of Aurelius Rustica. And Mantas Janavicius and Aurelius Rustica came in here 50 points off leader Klaus Angerhofer. But they are having a better run at the moment. Krabak, however, taking the lead after qualifying. Looks like he's going to move up the order. And behind is Jakub Noll from the Czech Republic in that grey Mercedes, newcomer to the series, run by the NM Racing team. It's not going to score points, though. So third in the points, Klaus Angerhofer and Sadie Sarmini in that KTM that's just lurking in the back of the shot. So for points reasons, the Mercedes in the centre of this trio is invisible, quote. So ignore him in terms of points, but of course, points and actual racing for positions are very different indeed. And this is for second in the AM class. Jakub Noll gets the run, but he's going to be on the outside down to turn 1. And Rustica keeps his nose in front for the moment. And this is down into the final corner. So Virage Dupont, the Porsche on the brakes early. Was there a touch? I don't know, but the headlights were close enough to almost melt the paint off the back bumper of the Porsche. Looks like it was fairly clean, but the Mercedes is through, and so too is the KTM. So while we were watching that, what happened to Aurelius Rustica? Did he make a mistake? Or was there contact down in the first couple of corners? Because as they come on to the Mistral now, it will be the Mercedes that is second in class. And up to third is Sadie Sarmini in the orange and black KTM. And here comes Sarmini, sends it down the inside. That's very aggressive. Nicely done. 10-second penalties are being awarded, although it's not a bonus. 10-second penalty for car number 1, Peder Gerlings and Stinus Longin, and for 812. Now, here's what happens into the first corner. Porsche stays in front, rides the curbs. Wow. Now, maybe Aurelius Rustica just carried a little bit too much speed in there. This is the reverse angle and ran out too wide. Maybe he just had to breathe off the throttle between turn 1 and 2. Whatever it was, run out of road and dropped down to third place. Car 30 has a 62-second time penalty. Oh my goodness. Well, they weren't eligible for points anyway, Georges Cabin and Jean-Paul Buffat, but a massive time penalty awarded to them. Now then, inside the final 9 minutes, and here is the top three in one camera shot. The lead 2.3 seconds for Luca Piri. So the question now is, having started their first Fanatec GT2 European Series race from pole position, can this duo in the brand new, as yet unraced Maserati end it on the top step of the podium? Reinhard Koeffler second, Ludo Bade third, and Luca Piri leading the race. 2.3 seconds it was, but look how the gap is coming down between second and third as well. And that means those two cars, the KTM and the Mercedes, will actually be working better together in the quicker sections of the track than the Maserati out front. Ludo Bade with the fastest lap of the race, taking that away from Stefan Rosina, not by much, by a few hundreds only. Rosina's fastest lap was a 2 minute 5.5 something. Ludo Bade 2 minute 5.48. But look at the gap now as they come across the line. 7.5 minutes. It's just over 2 minutes a lap. That gives us 4 more laps, doesn't it? Maserati's not going to hold on now, is it? Luca Piri will have to do a lot of defending. Reinhard Koeffler really with the tail up and really looking to take advantage here. And he needs to make his move quickly, because if he gets held up by the Maserati, Ludovic Bade in that Mercedes, he's going to be right there. So we've got Maserati, KTM down the inside, Reinhard Koeffler for the lead. Luca Piri wants to finish this race, and if he does so neatly, he will be at least third, you think. Ludo Bade goes through for second. All right, well, Luca Piri saw the KTM coming. He could have tried to shut the door hard and late. That would have resulted in contact and who knows what else. Let them go. You're not eligible for points. It's not your championship. You have the honor of making the global competition debut of the Maserati GT2. So get it to the finish. I think that was a very sensible choice there by Luca Piri. Now, his slight worry might be that Stefan Rosina in 4th place is coming up behind him for another spot on the podium. But Reinhard Koeffler now free to battle Ludovic Bade for victory. Bade in the grey Mercedes in second. Oh, Maserati just carrying a little bit too much curb there and bobbling around under braking into turn 5. Luca Piri really trying hard to hang on, but in the end, they both went through. Well, are you exceeding track limits if your car's in the air over the curbs? Don't think you are. Ludovic Bade pushing on. You can see how firmly sprung this big Mercedes-AMG GT2 is. And just losing a little bit of ground now to the KTM of Reinhard Koeffler. So Koeffler now opening up the gap to 0.8 of a second. Luca Piri in 3rd, Stefan Rosina in 4th, and Anthony Beltoise in 5th place. But the number 1 car of Peter Gerlinks and Stinas Longin chasing in the championship. They're in 8th place, plus they have a 10-second penalty. So Ludo Bade again. Oh, that's a lot of curb, taking a lot of curb. And the reason is, suddenly he realizes that Reinhard Koeffler is getting away. Koeffler has turned the ometer up to 11 and is absolutely charging now to try and escape the Mercedes. I'm sure Reinhard is very well aware of the strong points and the weak points of each car. And here, the KTM is possibly not at its strongest versus the Mercedes on the Mistral. So he's trying to get himself clear. Best lap for Reinhard Koeffler, 2 minutes 5.6, 2 minutes 5.48. The best lap for Ludo Bade, but he's not been able to match that in the last couple. So less than 4 minutes to go. Be this plus 2. And Reinhard Koeffler looks like he is making his way away from Ludovic Bade. And the real question is, will Luca Piri hang on to 3rd place? At the moment, car number 15 in 4th place, Stefan Rosina. He's not closing that fast. And don't forget that the Maserati is invisible for points as well. So Rosina does not need to pass Piri to take vital points for the series. And Stefan Rosina currently in 4th. Anthony Beltoise is in 5th place, showing the points leading car with Henri Acide. Stanislas Langin in 7th place, but again with a penalty to serve for the number 1 car, which will be added at the end of the race. And that is going to see the points gap open up between Anthony Beltoise, Henri Acide, and Peter Gerling's Stanislas Langin. It will still be potentially a 3-car championship battle going into the final race. Stefan Rosina coming in here 18 points behind, 25 for victory. But Rosina currently ahead of both cars that are ahead of him in the championship. Well, there is our AM class leader, Jan Krabek. Sadi Sarmini in 2nd, Jan Nol in 3rd, and Aurelius Rustica in 4th place now in the AM category. So Jan Krabek coming from a single point behind Klaus Angerhofer, coming in here claiming 2 points for both pole positions. First time this season he's claimed both poles. He had race 2 pole in the Red Bull Ring. He had race 1 pole in Portimao, race 2 pole in Valencia, but Jan Krabek with both race pole positions here, really stepping up when it counted. 1:17 to go as they cross the line. They'll be out of time by the time they get back to us, so this should be the final lap of the race. It's a 50-minute time certain race and no further action. They were looking at an overtake for Reinhard Koeffler, and I'm assuming it was the overtake on the Maserati, but didn't actually say which. However, no further action, so that's very good news for Reinhard Koeffler, Martin Koch, and also for the MZR Motorsport Centrum Reed team that run the car. Looking for their first big result with the car. Martin Koch claiming victory in Dijon and a 2nd place finish. They were 3rd in race 2 in Valencia. But Koch with new partner this weekend, Reinhard Koeffler. Looking for an overall victory here. Ludovic Bade losing the chase. Gap has opened up to 1.1 seconds. Bade taking all of the curb on the inside as much as he can. Not helping. He's not going to get close enough. So it will be checkered flag that is unfurled for the black and green KTM crossbow. Martin Koch and Reinhard Koeffler. There is Koeffler coming towards us. You can see Martin Koch on the pit wall already, looking to celebrate with the MZR team. Ludovic Badet closing in on the final corner, but not close enough. Checkered flag is out. It is victory in race 1 at Le Castellet for MZR. Reinhard Koffler brings the car across the line in first place. Ludo Badet in second. Luca Piri takes third from Stefan Rosina. So Luca Piri and Leonardo Guarini will be on the podium, but Rosina gets the third placed points. Across the line comes the number 1 car. Stanis Longin having time added on. No impropriety, though, for the number 89 car of our AM class pole sitter and winner. And this is Jan Krabek starting to ease himself towards the title ahead of Klaus Angerhofer. It is not all done. It is all done. If he wins, if he finishes here and that win remains, then Angerhofer cannot catch him even by winning race 2. So Jan Krabek should have a victory in the series. A final lap incident between the 88 Audi of Mattia Di Giusto and the Heavy Motors Porsche of Aurelius Rustica will be investigated by the stewards. So Jean-Luc Bobelic and Ludo Badet. Okay, oh right. So, penalty for Reinhard Koffler. Did I have that written down? I didn't, but that now means that Ludo Badet and Jean-Luc Bobelic have victory in race 1. Pro-Am winner Jan Krabek. So the timing screen has definitely shuffled things up. Luca Piri second in the Maserati. Reinhard Koffler down to third, still ahead of Stefan Rosina. Then Anthony Beltoise in fifth, the points leading car. Sixth place, Benjamin Ricci. AM class winner Jan Krabek. Well, that didn't really go to any jurisdiction, did it? Jakob Noll second, Sadie Sarmini third in the AM category. So Reinhard Koffler, Martin Koch, first at the flag, but with a 10-second penalty added. So they drop down to third place. Jean-Luc Bobelic, Ludo Badet victorious. The Maserati, Leonardo Guarini and Luca Piri in second place on its debut. Martin Koch, Reinhard Koffler rounding out the podium in third. And in the AM class, Jan Krabek 7th overall. 10th overall, Jakob Noll second with in the AM class, and third, Sadie Sarmini with Klaus Angerhofer. So Jakob Noll sharing with Stefan Perrin, but again, they're invisible for points. There's the Lamborghini that stopped a little bit earlier on. They picked up a big penalty earlier as well for mistiming their pit stop woefully. Georges Cabin and Jean-Paul Buffin with that Lamborghini. But Ludo Badet, not sure if the team have managed to pass on all the information on the radio, but he does what he's told by the marshals. That's always a good shout, even if you think you haven't won. If the marshals are guiding you into the winner's circle, do what they tell you. They're usually better informed. So Mercedes, Maserati, KTM, 3 of our 5 different brands in the podium positions. And a great view over Circuit Paul Ricard here at Le Castellet. Ludovic Badet claiming victory, taking over from Jean-Luc Bobelic after a strong opening stint by his teammate. And Reinhard Koffler bringing the 812 KTM into third spot. Car started by Martin Koch. A 50-minute race in beautiful conditions, the penultimate race of the Fanatec GT2 European Series in Circuit Paul Ricard, and a great leap away from pole position from Leonardo Guarini in the debutant Maserati. Contact on the very first lap, losing a bit of the back of the Porsche. Gaining advantage early on in the blue and white Mercedes, Mauro Ricci, having to give that back a little later on as the battles raged all the way up and down this bumper field. Giovanni with a good early stint, leading in the AM class. Jan Krabek driving on his own. Series boss Stefan Rattel having fun racing his rivals as well in the Audi. And then the 812 car, Martin Koch and Reinhard Köffler moving up the order as the race progressed, getting ahead of the Henri Acide, Anthony Beltoire's points leading Audi. Through the pit stops, no major dramas, a couple of mistimed stops. Only one team finding a big penalty though. And on its debut, the Maserati leading into the very closing stages. Trouble for Stinus Longchamp, making an ill-advised lunge on the KTM of Sadie Sarmini, which then clattered the sister car of Bertrand Rouchard. In the closing stages, Reinhard Köffler leading the charge up behind the Maserati. Behind him, though, Ludo Bade in the Mercedes, getting by the KTM of Stefan Resina. The Maserati was being closed down by the chasing pack. Porsche versus Mercedes versus KTM versus Audi versus Lamborghini versus Maserati. Lots of variety in the races and lots of racing in the variety. In the Pro-Am and the Am classes, series titles up for grabs and the honour of competing out front. Just a few minutes from home, the Maserati finally being caught by the chasing pack. Reinhard Köffler going by as Maserati's Luca Piri had a little bobble on the curbs. Ludo Bade following through. And although Köffler tried to scamper away to the checkered flag, Bade stayed close enough with some aviating driving. Late race contact between Mattia Di Giusto and Aurelius Rustica. First to the checkered flag, but carrying a penalty for contact earlier in the race. The MZR KTM Crossbow victory then going to Ludo Bade and Jean-Luc Bobelik for Acudis ASP. The Maserati finishing in second place on the road after Reinhard Köffler and Martin Koch's KTM, first to the checkered flag, was dropped down the order to third place. No such dramas in the AM class though. It was Jan Krabek who claimed a dominant victory, extending his championship advantage to leave him impenetrable at the top of the points. And our final race of the season comes up at 4:40 local time.